Dog, you guys have been asking for this non-stop and I gotta deliver, so today we're finally going to return to the story of the multiversal war involving the entire God Realm at this point, accompanied by some of the most badass art I've ever seen personally, Dragon Ball Kakumei. In the previous chapters, fans were shown just what ramifications could occur with the use of the Super Dragon Balls, for the Wish at the end of the mighty tournament of power could have done much more damage than good. The sole wish made to revive all of the erased universes unleashed a great power sealed for millennia as Kansei, the mother of the angels, along with the former angels and gods of universes 13 through 18 were released. As they approached the Grand Priest, the resurrected gods and angels greeted their brothers and sisters with a plan for devastation looming in the future. Following the exposure of the Grand Priest for all of the treason he committed by sealing them away behind the other angels' backs, Kansei and the others declare war on both the mortal and god realms, forcing every existing being to now choose a side. The Grand Priest uses one of his many powers to freeze the former gods and angels in time, but only for a period of about 2 years because this spell takes so much of a toll on his body. He then makes his announcement to the entire multiverse, warning all those of the mortal and god realms of the upcoming war. Even in the face of these mighty foes, the mortals have no intention of backing down. All across the multiverse, preparations began, but one key person still remained absent: Goku. Following his investigation into the mysterious Universe Zero, Goku was taken captive for entering the hideout of the former angels and ended up getting sealed alongside them. Universe 7 finds itself in quite a weird predicament, as everyone else must step up to cover for Goku's absence, despite having to join the chaos eventually regardless. Vegeta, however, seeing the massive problems that lay wait for them in the future, chooses to take a more direct approach to the issues at hand this time. He travels to Universe 6 in order to train with all of his people, the Saiyans of planet Sadala. With Vegeta's absence being a little too much for those back at home as well, a Capsule Corp ship is sent out and seemingly arrives at its same destination, with Jocko's android finally locating Vegeta, but he blasts it to pieces before it can reveal his location. They do eventually locate Vegeta's crew regardless and are able to rendezvous with them. The group then sets off, absorbing the Saiyan culture across the planet, and meanwhile, at planet Crepe, we're able to see Goten and Trunks diving headfirst into their training with an angel for the first time, determined to make the most of this experience. Back on planet Sadala, however, Vegeta begins addressing the army of Saiyans standing before him. His training regimen for the 5th Squad begins alongside 3 admirals: Admiral Ruba, the most powerful man on this planet; Admiral Lyric, an experienced strategist and bold warrior; and Admiral Fennel, the best of the best when it comes to hand-to-hand combat with quite a few accolades of her own. The troops are to form 4 mixed groups, and each will go in front of one of the admirals or himself. The crowd agrees in unison while Vegeta puts on a proud smile, much to Bulma and Jocko's disgust at his big-headedness. He then commands Caulifla to go to Ruba's group, using his Super Saiyan form for intimidation almost out of nowhere. While some mistrust about Vegeta's methods begin to circulate through the crowd, Fennel, Lyric, and Ruba discuss his inappropriate behavior towards the Saiyan soldiers. Vegeta is greatly offended by their doubts to his legitimacy, but now he has no choice but to prove himself before the skeptical Saiyans. Despite Cabba's futile attempts to calm everyone down, the flames of pride that these Saiyans have just fanned are ready to erupt and remind all of them just who they're dealing with here. Demanding silence, Vegeta roars as his power explodes in the middle of Sadala, throwing caution to the wind in order to prove himself now. He unleashes the power of Super Saiyan Blue Evolved on his own people to silence these troops for good, and he dares them to come at him, enraged and ready to crush this entire fleet of Saiyans himself if need be. If you guys are really loving this series, and I know you all are, and want to check out Dragon Ball Kakumei for yourselves, the link to Renko's Twitter will be down below in the description box, so be sure to go follow them and keep showing your support for all of these fantastic projects, guys. Don't forget to turn on those notifications down below by clicking the bell icon to never miss an upload as soon as they go live. And if you haven't already, consider leaving a like on this video as well, it really helps out a ton. Be sure you guys are following on both Twitch and Twitter, those will both be linked down below as well and are very important this year to stay up to date with me and all Dragon Ball and anime related content, guys. But without further ado, This chapter just hits the ground running as Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta roars "Come at me" at Admirals Ruba, Lyric, and Fennel without a single shred of fear in his heart. All three admirals feel the intense pressure given off by the intimidating Saiyan before them, and they brace themselves, while the stunned Universe 6 Saiyans, including Kaba, watch on. The masses are too afraid to move and simply return Vegeta's gaze, much to his irritation. "Leave if you want to, you cowards, but I won't even be able to look you in the eye, so don't come crying to me the day the enemy knocks on your door to kill all your people," Vegeta yells out in fury. Behind him, Admiral Ruba prepares to clasp Vegeta between his mighty palms in one huge attack, yelling "Now you're facing us" in advance. His attempts are futile though, as Vegeta easily dodges the attack by swiftly moving behind him, causing his palms to meet each other instead of crushing him. He turns back in surprise, only to be met with a singular punch from Vegeta so devastating that it almost appears to pierce straight through him. Utterly bested, he's sent flying over the crowd from the attack as the troops watch on in horror. Vegeta is completely unscathed though, and honestly unimpressed, as Lyric then attempts to attack him from behind, launching a blast which simply explodes on the back of his head, dealing no damage at all. He then uses the puff of smoke to his advantage and lands a direct knee on Lyric's abdomen, who coughs up blood from the blow. Fennel is all that's left, as she readies her weapon to take a swing at his head from behind in a sneak attack, but he easily dodges that too via a swift crouch. Without even turning around to face his opponent, Vegeta uses his palms on the ground to support himself and pivot enough to launch a backwards kick straight at Fennel's abdomen. Coughing up blood, Fennel too is thrown a distance away and crashes into a mountain face, thoroughly defeated as well. The sheer might of this blow causes the top half of the mountain to break apart in two and fall down, crushing Fennel at its center. Following this very short but decisive encounter, all three admirals lay utterly defeated while Vegeta just balls his hand into a fist, unscathed, unimpressed, but his job is still the same, to make sure these Saiyans can hold their own and protect their people. The soldiers look at Vegeta in pure terror, but all his thoughts encompass are the grim realities of not being strong enough. "You all look at me as some kind of monster, a bloodthirsty beast. But do you understand now how it feels to be weak? Do you understand what it's like to not be able to protect your own against an enemy that is far too dangerous?" Meanwhile, the mountain piece crushing Fennel beneath it starts to crack and violently shatters in all directions, revealing the being at its center. Fennel has transformed into her Super Saiyan form and casts a deadly glare at Vegeta through her blood-stained face. "Sorry, my king. I had no other choice," she thinks to herself as she charges at him. Vegeta shows no concern for her transformation at all, but he will gladly oblige if they still don't get it, if his point still hasn't gotten through their heads yet. "Come on, guys, transform," she screeches at the fallen Ruba and Lyric, who had slowly opened their eyes. The duo begin to transform into their Super Saiyan forms as well, yelling out in determination through their dripping blood. Vegeta's response is nothing more than a sideways glance and a wide smirk, giddy about a slightly better, although still inferior challenge. Yet his fun is abruptly interrupted by King Sadala, who states, "Repugnant," in utter distaste. The king approaches the scene, followed by a multitude of robots, as he says, "As I thought. We can only rely on these robots nowadays. You all just keep getting better at deceiving me," he proclaims in anger, clearly not amused. "What a circus. Just let us finish our accounts. It's better for every," Vegeta attempts to say, but is abruptly cut off by the enraged king, screeching, "Silence! Settle your accounts, I do not care, but never use this demonic form on my planet again. If I catch you again, I will banish you," the king states firmly, the robots backing the command with their weaponry. Fennel looks down in shame and irritation while Vegeta powers down to his normal self as well and looks at Bulma. "Let's go, Bulma," he states dryly. Elsewhere in a swamp, Hid and Frost are slowly approaching a large monster in the water which seems to be a target of interest. Upon noticing them, it quickly submerges its head beneath the water surface and darts off in the other direction at high speeds. "I've been swimming at full speed for about 20 minutes now. I've lost them for sure," it thinks vainly to itself. Yet when it turns around, Hid is silently standing there, casting it a dead and unimpressed glance. Both shocked and enraged at Hit's persistence, the monster launches an attack of spiked scales at Hit from its left arm. Now, the time lag, thinks Frost from behind him as he readies his time lag technique in front of himself. The spiked scales approach him, but Hit easily dodges the first ones by tilting his head to the side. Unknown to Hit, however, this scale attack turns a complete 180-degree angle and boomerangs right back to him. Only noticing this at the last moment, Hit turns his head around to see the scale get sliced across thanks to Frost's beam attack. He looks to Frost, who smirks and says, "You're welcome," which he simply shakes off. In response, he launches a beam from his finger at the monster behind them, piercing his chest without even turning around. Hit and Frost then come to arrive on planet Dew, where they eye a hunched and grumpy looking target from the shadows. As Hit prepares his attack to take down his opponent from behind silently, another attack from the side beats him to it, piercing the target's chest again. Enraged, Hit turns around and glares at Frost, the culprit once again. "It's super easy to be an assassin actually," Frost states amused, to which Hit replies by grabbing his hand at the wrist. "What's your problem?" he roars. You can't hit your targets anymore, or I'm just better than you," Frost taunts without flinching. "You will leave me alone from now on, until the end of time. Have I made myself clear?" Hit threatens while tightening his hold on Frost's grip. Ouch! Frost winced while thinking, "This hurts like hell." "I accept under one condition," Frost claims while putting up a bold facade. "Prove your superiority to me. Come on, fight." He challenges Hit head on after getting his wrist free. Hit is unamused, however, but looks on with a grim expression. Meanwhile, while the multiverse readies itself for war, in the palace of the Grand Priest struggles in agony in his throne. "Grand Priest, I've tried everything to cover for you, but the kings will find out sooner or later," an attendant states. It's not a big deal. Don't put yourself in more danger," the Grand Priest staggers to say, with veins popping out all over his face. "Right," replies the attendant, while the priest attempts to steady himself once again. Elsewhere, beneath the tent on a floating inverted pyramid, Toppo, Margarita, Gohan, and Jiren look at each other in suspense. Margarita and Dispo avert their eyes to the burnt out and bandaged Velmod following his transfer of power and duties to Toppo. "If Lord Velmod starts Gohan, but is stopped midway by Jiren, who states Margarita has no right to bring him back to life, nor to discredit his years accumulated all at once. Nevertheless, there's still hope that Lord Velmod is still with us, and if so, she's keeping him alive at the moment." "I see. That said, now that I'm here, you know how I share your sense of justice," Gohan goes on, "which is why I'd like to join the Pride Troopers." Jiren can only turn to look at Toppo as he says, "You really picked the wrong time if you ask me." Embarrassed, Gohan sincerely apologizes, showing them the utmost respect, saying that he really shouldn't have bothered them at a time like this. Surprised at this response, Jiren looks up and states, "That's nothing," as Toppo continues from there. "Listen, Gohan," Toppo says, "we're a little bit tensed up since we hastened the Divine Immortality handover ritual, but we don't blame this on you." Jiren then goes on to explain, "However, we can't just let you become a Pride Trooper out of request. So if you agree, you'll follow us on a mission and we're going to rate you." "Of course I agree. Thank you, Jiren," Gohan shouts out in joy, his face glowing now. The moment is short-lived, however, as Dispo's ear twitches as he commands silence. He then fixates his eyes on Velmon's body and then shouts out, with tears moments away from flowing from his face, "I can hear his breath! Lord Velmod is alive!" To the utter surprise of Gohan, Jiren, and Toppo too shedding tears of relief and happiness now. Our story then takes a slight shift to a very interesting place called Monster Island, where a shooting star of sorts crash lands with a loud sound, attracting 17's attention. Out of the huge smoke cloud, Pepperoni pops out, coughing profusely amidst broken trees. "Damn robot, it's gonna take a few more tweaks obviously. Anyway, here's to us, number 17, he states as he takes a gadget out of his coat pocket while adjusting his monocle. You're that guy from Universe 3, Pepperami, right? What are you doing on my island? Android 17 asks from a tree branch above. Utterly surprised, Pepperoni states, but that's impossible. My tracer indicated that, only to be cut off by his gadget buzzing. You have arrived. I see, Pepperoni states. Pepperoni, number 17. I'm here because I have a proposition for you. How about teaming up with me? I went so far as to create an android based on the DNA of the Supreme Kai of my universe to come to yours, he states vehemently. And to get to me, you took my DNA too, Android 17 asks in suspicion. Just a hair of nothing, he replies blandly. Don't you dare ever do such a thing again, 17 threatens before getting down to his level on the ground. Alright, Pepperoni agrees, as the android continues. And I'm not interested in your proposal. Pepperoni is adamant though. But take a step back. Think about your family, how will you defend them, he urges. I don't need you to defend them, 17 states with determination. Pepperoni now grows angry. Do you have any idea who the enemies are this time, he barks. It doesn't matter. If you die, you die. That's just how it goes, 17 states as he walks away, much to Pepperoni's disbelief. Dad? A meek voice calls out, grabbing 17's attention right away. He turns around in utter surprise and shock to see Sapphire and Pearl in front of him. Sapphire, Pearl, what are you doing here? He yells out. I took them to play and we overheard you talking, darling, states his wife as she appears behind them. While his daughter clings to his wife's dress, calling out, Mom, Mom. His son looks at him with tears in his eyes. Dad, we don't want to die. And we don't want you to die either. His wife proceeds to wipe away their tears, embracing both of her children. No one is gonna die, my loves. We have many years of joy left to live. This moment right here sparks countless memories of 17's beloved family in his mind as he stops in his tracks, rubs the back of his head and states firmly, Fine. What's the plan, Pepperoni, he says, as more and more alliances are created every chapter within Dragon Ball Kakumei, but the threat of Kansei and the Erased Angels is still far out of the leagues of everyone involved right now.